All right, you guys, I'm going to try to be as respectful with your time as I can. I do get a little long-winded. I do apologize in advance. There you go. All right, so this is my 2010 Toyota Highlander Limited. What I chose to do, your stock horns, they're going to be here and here. I disconnected this little quick connect, click, pull, and I took this one off of its normal mounted post. Basically, it was mounted on one of these posts right here, and it just bolted on the back side of the 10 mil. I just took it out, and I repurposed that hole because the supplied bolt that Moto Horn will send you to mount to the back of there happens to be the exact same threads. You can figure out for yourself how to do that. I put it through there. I put a little bolt and a washer in the back, bolt and a washer on the back side of there, and I eventually worked it till I can't move that thing. Anyway, so you got your horn, you got your air hose. I did a little swoop-de-hoop-de with the stock horn hose length just to make a nice soft curve in there. I couldn't figure out a shorter path to get there. If I came around this way, it'd have a hard bend and possibly kink. I didn't want that to happen. All right, so coming out of the positive, and you're going to see on the bottom of these things, they do have a, I don't know if you can see it in there. I can't look upside down either. But anyway, the black one's negative and the red one's positive. So off your positive post, you're going to come, again, straight through here. All I did is I put a little support zip tie right here just to keep it from getting laying down and getting dragged all over the place. I put a couple zip ties, actually just one zip tie here. I put a couple zip ties here and here just to kind of support those wires as they go. And then I put a couple random zip ties. I wanted to keep some upward tension in there. So I put a little bit of hold down point, and I took a big zip tie and I cranked it all the way through here, down here, just to keep some force on those wires up. The stock fittings that they supply you, they suck. They do not fit very well on those wires that they supply. Moto Horn is only going to give you a black 12 gauge wire. I happen to have some red 12 gauge wire. That's why mine is different colored. You'll have to figure it out. So I ran it down through here. I'm sorry, the bracket. All right. I drilled a hole the size of one of the bolts that Moto Horn supplies. I just drilled it straight through that bracket, right on the hump. There's a little protrusion hump this way, straight through the middle of that. Put my bracket on there a little bit off-centered, so it's favoring that side just slightly, and bolted it down. It's pretty stable. It ain't gonna do it, ain't gonna move. The biggest thing is I wanted to have some clearance here for your grill. So you got about a third of an inch, and you got about a half of an inch right here. If you need to, you can bend this. No one's ever gonna see this again. You can actually bend this thin aluminum this way very, very easily, but it stays off of your cooling plate for your radiator fan, etc., whatever. So then I just took, and there was a hole that was accessible on this structure, and I just put the old stock horn and I fed a bolt behind there, and that's why that thing's kind of out of place anyway. All right, so then I popped a little hole through here through this plastic shroud so I could feed my wires through. There's a nice soft landing spot that goes right back through there so that I'm not rubbing metal on any kind of sharp metal edges. And down in there by that yellow electrical connector, you can kind of see, a little hard to see with all the shadows in my fuzzy pictures here. Won't focus very well. Anyway, you can see how I kind of came through there, and I end up running the red positive wire, comes up into this grouping on this relay into its appropriate lug, just like we already talked about. The negative wire, same thing, follows the same path, goes through the same process, and the negative wire kind of travels around. It does a little loop-de-loop. I did some zip ties on here just to kind of keep some soft bends in there, keep it away from sharp metal edges. And I landed it, I just put it on this side of my battery terminal nut. Don't know why, I just did. Then you have all your other ground wire here. Follow the orange, and the orange transitions into this black, and then it goes up inside the cab, which I'll try to show you the routing here. This is it for those of you who aren't gonna excuse me. I mean, this is basically the final portion of the video that you really need to watch. But if you want to see how I routed this, it is kind of a little mess. It is not a professional job, DIY, and I don't really care. Come on, this thing's filthy. Why do I care? It's 210,000 miles on this vehicle. So anyway, so these wires here, I I just found some extra wire. This is actually off of a solar panel that I used to have in my vehicle to keep the battery tended. So I just split it and just running the appropriate positive negatives. Where's my jumper? Let me show you that one. All right, here it is. So I just basically, I tied together 2 wires. Right there's a little V, and made a little jumper there to plug in the appropriate jumpers, just like I told you in the other part of the video, the first part. All right, so now my how I got into my actual cab. I came up through here, passed underneath this piece of rubber, foam rubber, went inside the middle of this piece of foam rubber, used it as a wire chase, came up along here, zip tied it to securely fasten it right across here. Use caution. You don't want to get this thing wrapped around this because that's part of your hood. So that's why I came and chose to go around this side. Kept it nice and snug. Then I fed it into this recess right here, the split in the panel. And when you get in there, it's like dental floss. You get it through there, push it in that groove, and then pull down on this side and this side, and it'll sink down to right about here. Nice and soft. It just sits in there. There's nothing harsh in there. Then on the inside edge, you can tape this down, clean the surface off really good with acetone or brake clean or carb cleaner, whatever. And then you can take off this trim, and I just tapped a little hole right there. I put a piece of shrink wrap around this. This area is just not going to get moved very much, so when this thing impinges it, it's just going to stay there. I mean, it's not going to get abraded over time. I'm not really worried about it. But on the other side, it goes straight down. So if I was to pull this all apart again, it'd be running down here all the way. You can pull this piece of trim off very easily. It just pops out. This whole piece of trim pops out. Then the wire comes down. It transitions around this bottom corner here. Basically, you'll find a path when you take those 2 things off. And if you take your little treasure trove glove box off here, you'll be able to pull those wires up through the bottom. Let's see if you can see daylight down here. It's kind of hard to fish the cell phone in here to show you what I'm talking about. But anyway, the wires basically just come down hand fed from the bottom back up to here. My plan is I will be putting my push button. So you got this your hood release here, and then you got a little hump, a little slope. It's going to be basically right here. That's where I'm going to put my bop, bop. All right, so these wires are just prepped out. I think I could probably touch those together and honk. Hang on. Yeah, so basically this is ready to connect into my 2 little screws on my little push button. And when you push that button, it makes the final connection. And that's what happens. So, works. It is approved by the company who produces that horn. Bang. So, hope that helped you. Hope I kept it short enough for you. Bye. Hopefully this thing orients itself, video-wise anyway, on your screen the correct direction. This is from the manufacturer of the push button. So you see you got the C on the bottom there, that peg. That's going to go into your relay on the 9 o'clock position. I believe, if I remember correctly, that's on my initial diagram. That's number 85. Let's check that out. But so I don't have to come back to this screen right here, the NO, that one's going to go to your ground on your battery. All right, so let's see. 85. Yeah, number 85 is what you're going to go to, just as discussed. And that should be it. Hope you all enjoyed the video.